Hi, I'm Dana, and I would normally put a bit more effort into how I look, but I've got a cold and I just don't have the energy to do anything but this, I'm sorry. And today I really want to talk about the importance of media as an autistic person. Obviously this is focused on me and it's my experience and it's my thoughts and it's how I feel. If you relate, that's really cool and great and I'd love to hear about it in the comments, but if you don't, that's fine. And I'd also like to hear what you feel about things and how you think about all this stuff in the comments below. So to get into the video, this is entirely inspired by the picture you can see above my head over there. I don't know how to point on camera, but that's a picture of me with Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes from this weekend because I got to meet them, and you can see my Dogma VHS that I got signed by Kevin Smith. I got to meet my favourite director, and it was the best moment of my life. I keep trying to downplay it and try and act cool and not pretend that meeting some random celebrity was the best moment of my life. But it was the best moment of my freaking life. He created so many of the worlds that I live within and that I adore, and so many of the characters that have made me think about things. And that's what we're getting into. Obviously, Kevin Smith movies are a massive special interest for me, but I also really love like Doctor Who and the X-Files and Lord of the Rings, and I watch a lot of stuff. I have my little notebook where I keep a list of all the things that I watch. And this is the stuff I've watched so far in May, and it's the 7th. I watch a lot of stuff. I engage in a lot of different media. I watch a lot of shows, I watch a lot of movies, and they mean a lot to me. Because I think one of the big things for me is that a lot of very important decisions that I've made for myself in my life have been prompted by movies. And I think perhaps for neurotypical people, it's the kind of thoughts that would be prompted by having conversations with people and talking to people about their lives. And at the time, I didn't have people to do that with. I do have some close friends now that I actually talk to and have realisations with and but I've only had friends for the last year and a half, quite frankly, that I actually talk to regularly and keep up with and discuss my life with and feel comfortable talking about deeper topics with. So for a long time I just did not have those types of people. I did not speak to people. I had my horrible relationships that I was in, and that was it. So part of what made meeting Kevin Smith so important to me was that there's a specific moment in Clerks 2 that I've spoken about on this before, on YouTube before. I don't want to get super into, but there was a moment in this movie where I looked at my ex and we were 7 years into the relationship, and I was like, I've got to get off the pot. I've got to leave this fucking man. He's not fucking nice to me. He's not a nice guy. I need to leave. I need to leave him. However that can happen, I need to leave him. And I only had that thought because of a movie. And it's one of those things where I'm sure I would have gotten round to it. I'm sure something else would have prompted the thought, but it was that moment of a movie that prompted the thought. And I feel like I've had that in so many other areas, and obviously that's a very, very big one. I decided that I was going to completely uproot my life and leave the person that I'd been with for many, many years and that I'd grown up with, essentially, because I was 16 when we met. I lived with him. He was financially abusive. I did not know how the fuck I was going to do it or what the fuck I was going to follow it up with, but that made me know that I had to leave. And they're not all those massive, gigantic life decisions, but I feel so much of my motivation and inspiration to do stuff and to the thing that prompts me to have realizations and think about things is usually media. It's usually movies and TV shows. But I do feel that's something that I sort of had to develop into, because especially in my teen years, I very much just escaped into media. It was purely for escapism. I didn't gain anything from it in my real life, really, besides getting to escape my real life. And it was absolutely what I needed at the time. It wasn't the most healthy thing. I probably would have made many different decisions had I not been escaping in that way. But it was also a thing of my teen years, the personality that I crafted for myself and so much of the person I am naturally now because of it came from movies and TV shows. I've got a journal somewhere from when I was in high school where there's pages upon pages where I was just trying real hard to be the BBC Sherlock character, and I'm just I don't need friends, I'm fine on my own. I very much used media as a teenager to sort of try and realise and figure out what real people are how people exist, what people do when they're on their own. Because I didn't have friends, I didn't have people I really knew. My family didn't really interact with each other as such. I didn't really understand what people did when they weren't actively doing an activity with other people, And I felt I could use media to understand what other people did and how other people thought and how other people were, how I as a person really was supposed to react to things, and how, even down to when I first watched Community, there's a bit where Abed says about practicing faces in the mirror, and my partner at the time laughed and I didn't. He was why aren't you laughing? That's really funny. And I was doesn't everyone watches movies and sees the like emotion portrayed on the actor's face and then tries to recreate that face, like, you know what face you're meant to do for that emotion, right? And he was like, no, Dana, like, the joke is that Arbed does that because he's autistic. And I was like, oh right. You know, like, that's what I mean. Like, that was the main moment for me, that I was like, I should look into autism, huh? Like, so many of the realizations of like things about myself and how I want to be as a person and who I think I might be and all that kind of thing has come from media. One of the biggest things for me about being autistic is how difficult I find it to socialize and to actually form connections with people. I mask fairly well. Like, I'm not a super high masking person. I don't mask as well as other people seem to, but I do mask reasonably well to where I can meet someone and have a decent first impression, you know? I can be like, oh my gosh, hi, how are you? If I meet them again and again and again, it often becomes very awkward because I don't form any sort of deeper connection with them. It stays extremely surface level, and I really struggle with that, you know? For a long time, like, I had to really meet other people that are neurodivergent and are very open to things and very non-judgmental in order to be able to actually form a deeper connection with people. And even then, I have 2 close friends, you know? Like, I'm not exactly like out here grabbing connections or whatever. And but I have 2 very good ones that I am very happy with and that like really fulfill me and that I feel very lucky to have and everything, you know? But that is still only 2 friends, you know? I don't have like 24/7 mental support, and obviously that's not what you're supposed to use your friends for. You do need to be able to be okay on your own, and the main way that I am okay on my own and don't necessarily like need more friends, and the way that I gain a lot of my like human interaction and my human connection is through media. I don't find that many people I like in real life, to be completely honest. Like, I don't often dislike people, which is how that tends to come across. But, you know, like, most people are just fine. I don't dislike them, but I don't necessarily feel like I want to have any sort of deep connection with them. I don't necessarily feel like that's something that's, like, achievable from the chemistry we have as 2 different people or whatever. Like, just a lot of people aren't for me, is how I feel about things. And it means a lot to be able to engage in media where I feel like I'm understood and like I'm being seen somehow, and like I'm seeing things that are actually relatable to me and people that I can understand and people that react in ways that I can understand and think the way that I do. I feel like that's incredibly important and not something that I really... Like, I feel like that kind of thing is extremely important, and I feel like a lot of the time within the autistic community, when we discuss getting to see ourselves on screen, we're very quick to like headcanon people as autistic, or really hope that the character is supposed to be autistic, or specifically like go towards shows that have autistic characters. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all, you know? Like, I've watched The A Word, I've watched Heartbreak High, I've watched It's a Kind of Spark, all because I was like, oh, an autistic character, cool, I'd like to see that. I like Arbed and Community, you know, like I really do enjoy that we're getting to see more actual autistic representation. But I think one of the things that is sort of lost and forgotten is that autistic people are people too. Like, I say that in so many videos because it's so true. Like, when people do the whole like, oh well, we're all a little bit autistic, aren't we? I really feel like it's because they forget that autistic people are also people, and they're relating to us on like a personal level and not on an autistic level. So one of the things I really enjoy is being able to have characters and, you know, directors and writers and just engage and feel a human connection from people who aren't autistic, and be able to see that like it doesn't necessarily require people be autistic for me to be able to feel connected to them and feel like I can be understood by someone, to feel seen. You know, I feel like it is quite important as an autistic person. For me personally, obviously I'm never trying to speak for other people, especially for me personally. I feel like it's so important to remember that a person doesn't have to be autistic for me to be able to relate to them. I'm able to relate to people and talk to people and connect with people who aren't autistic. And sure, there might be some things about me they don't quite get. There might be some things about me that they have to just accept rather than understand. But that's all part of like the human experience. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And I think that it is something that we often see in like a negative light or dislike that I need to work on. And it's one of those things where like it kind of fulfills my hope with humanity, honestly. Like, when I can watch a really good film and feel like the people in it are ones that I relate to and that I understand and that would understand me, and just have a message that I agree with and that I like, it does fill me with a sort of like, oh, okay, there's people out there, there's good people out there that are doing the right thing and that I believe in, and that like You know, it's a very warm, good feeling. And I think that's the most important thing of media for me personally, as a special interest and as something that I engage in a lot, is that it's such a comfortable space. And it means the world when the people that are making it get that and actively participate in it too. Like, my two favourite directors are Peter Jackson and Kevin Smith. Not in that order, because they're the people that were just like, fuck, I want to make a fucking movie, I want to make shit, and I want people to get to see it, and I want people to like feel something from something that I've created. And they're people who like just got fucking friends together and made the thing because they felt a need to create something. You know, like I enjoy like a fucking Marvel action film or whatever as much as the next guy, but it's the things that people obviously felt like an actual drive to make. It's not just another reboot, it's not just another remake, it's something that they actually felt for while they were making, you know, and actually care about. That's the shit that like really connects for me and really makes me feel something, and really fulfills a lot of my like hope in the world, and makes me feel like I can like have a future, and I can have human connection, and I can make friends, and like things are gonna be okay. You know, and like I say, like I'm 27 years old, and it's the last like year and a half that I've been like, oh, I have solid friends, I have friends that I actively like fully trust, this is cool. Enjoying all those years when I didn't have that, I had my characters, I had my little people in my little shows and my little TV stuff and my movies, and I really like don't know how I would have gotten through without them. And I think that it's also the kind of thing where, like, as someone who was raised by a really like racist, not very nice family, you know, there were a lot of homophobic jokes, a lot of racist slurs. Like, my family aren't what I would consider to be necessarily good people, which is a horrible thing to say, I know, but it's true, so fight me. Like, I feel like I built a lot of my personality and a lot of my like morals and a lot of my belief system based off of media. It was based, like, so much of what I believe in and what I think of like society and the way we should treat each other comes from Doctor Who. Like, so much of it, because I didn't see the way that I felt about things reflected from my family and the people around me as a child. So I very much turned to media to be able to sort of, it's the kind of thing where like it was already there. Like, I do think that like I already was like inclined to have, I don't want to be like the right morals, because like everyone's morals are different and none of them are necessarily the right ones, but you know, like my belief system and the things that I believe in right and wrong and the like, I very much had to see reflected somewhere else to be able to be like, that's it, that's the thing I think. I couldn't quite form it on my own. That's one of like the big things that I think I struggle with because I'm autistic, that I don't see other people like point out as an autistic trait or whatever, but with like opinions and morals and like general like things that should come from like an internal place, I feel I very much have to get from the outside and see other people do or think or say first. And like if you faced me with like 7 different opinions, I would like take the bits to form my own, but I also like I do very much have to see it. And that's where it really feels like so much of my personality and the person that I am is cobbled together from the media that I love. And that's part of the like why it is so important to me, because like when my ex used to like insult my favourite characters, it's not just that you're insulting them, you're insulting me. Like, they are a part of me, whether it's a prominent part or a tiny part or whatever else, like they're a part of me. And it does feel like a personal insult when certain films and TV shows are like shit talks, you know? There are a lot of times that I have to really talk myself down and remind myself like it is just a show, it is just a movie, and as much as it can mean much more than just anything to me, it is still just media. It's just a movie, it's just a TV show, and that's fine. Other people can have their opinions, but it does still feel like a personal insult that I have to like actively talk myself down from getting annoyed about. I just haven't had anything that's consistently so comforting and safe and makes me happy in the way that watching fucking movies does. And I can watch the same ones over and over and over and feel like I'm gaining something new from them each time. And especially when I'm at like various like eras of my life or whatever, it feels like I can gain so many different perspectives through the same movies and the same TV shows. And I love them. I love them with my entire heart and soul. Like, it's one of those things where like, if you offered me like anything or media, I would choose media, you know? Like, getting to watch my little movies and TV shows really does mean the whole entire world to me. And it's something that I've often felt quite like embarrassed and ashamed of, because you're supposed to have a real life, stop just living through the screen. And it's the kind of thing that I've realised very much comes from other people. And as much as I don't want to like live through the screen, I do want my own experiences and get to do things, and you know, I want to make some of my own fucking shit. I'm quite content to spend hours and hours a day living through the screen and getting that escapism and having that comfort, and it is the thing that makes me feel best and the thing that I spend most of my time doing. And sure, I'm just watching stuff, but so much more goes on internally while I'm watching that I don't want to feel guilty or embarrassed about it anymore. still do sometimes, but I don't want to. I don't think I should have to. But yeah, that's the video, that's that. So if you enjoyed this, you want to see more from me, please do like and subscribe and do that stuff. You can also follow me over on Instagram and TikTok. I do have a Twitter, but I don't ever use it, so there's not really any reason to bother following me over there, I won't lie. If you would like to donate to me monetarily, you can. It'll be linked down below. I have a Ko-fi and a Patreon. Patreon members get to see videos early, and I've started doing some writing and just like some little bits and like been like inspired, I suppose. So like I'm thinking I might share some stuff over there and see what people think and like take some suggestions. And I would just like it to be more of like a community space, but I also don't like that community space would be behind a paywall, you know? Like as much as I appreciate, like really deeply, massively appreciate everyone that's a member on my Patreon, I also like, you know, I want to give you extra shit because you're paying me, but I also don't want to like exclude people that can't afford or don't want to pay me. So it's one of those things that I keep going back and forth on, but I'm gonna figure something out. And like a bunch of you guys have been suggesting like Discord and Twitch and stuff, so I'm gonna look more into that and try and figure out what I want to do and how I want to go about it. Because like if I get a Discord, I'd need mods and stuff, and I don't use Discord. I don't really entirely know how it works. Like I have the app, I've dabbled, but I don't really get it. And I very, very recently was told in a comment that there's an area on Twitch where you can just have a chat. So I'm going to look into that. I quite like the idea of that. But I don't know anything for certain yet. I haven't looked into anything properly. But I very much appreciate your comments letting me know about things like that. So thank you very much if you have. Thank you for any comments. Any comment is very, very cool. I read every single one, and they're usually very interesting, and I really enjoy getting them. So please do. I know I already asked you to comment, but the comments are my favourite part. Like that's where I get to feel a bit of human connection, or like something from this, you know? Like I spent a very long time making videos that were just me chattering into the void that didn't get any views or comments. So the comments are very much the most exciting part for me. But I am finally going to shut up and go away. So whoever you are, wherever you are, if you have a lovely morning, evening, day, afternoon, week, month, year, me and the bonus Otis. I always expect that to rhyme and it doesn't. But yeah, did I say whoever you are, wherever you are, if you have a lovely morning, evening, day, afternoon, week, month, year, and I'll see you again in a couple of days.